in that. Excellent. So here we are. There's four of you. I've kind of explained to each of you the design of the class. So you each have a basic understanding. We'll go over more of that. I want to make sure that everybody's got the right details and understands what's happening. But just want to kind of, first of all, let's start with Michael since he's farthest to the left here. Let's have Michael just introduce himself, just give a brief history of who he is and his talents and what he's going to contribute to the class.
I'm Michael Stern. I'm a chiropractor. I helped pioneer, I guess, something called network chiropractic, which has gone through many different
Iterations.
That's the word. And I've taught a couple hundred seminars around the world. And been in practice in suburb of Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I've also kind of taught my patients how to do rudimentary forms of the work I do. So to help their family and their spouses get the nervous system healthier. So everything I do is nervous system oriented, unwinding the tension in the spinal cord on out into the connective tissue. What else could I say?
What's the name? What's the name of your technique, Michael? What's your brand?
Well, again, I was using total tension release. I sort of prefer not to have a technique name, but I think Jeff likes a technique name. Maybe.
I'm gonna make you have a name.
Yeah. It's really about tension release techniques and nervous system strategies is how I feel about it, because they can be what I do can be employed by any technique, really. I could teach chiropractors how to be better chiropractors utilizing whatever technique they use. I feel like I could teach body workers how to be better body workers. There's some core underlying brain-body connection languaging that I feel everyone should know. And yeah.
All right, cool. So, all right, yeah. Then since Julie's next in line, Julie, if you could introduce yourself and what you do.
My name is Julie Stace, and I have been a body worker for 25 years. I am also a certified aromatherapist, and the work that I do, so interesting, I like your nervous system strategy, Michael, that thinking about a lot of what I do is also about the tension release and really paying attention to the nervous system and then the emotional component that is affected. And I'm sports injury trained through the school. Jeff and I actually went to the same massage school. We just didn't know each other. And I think you didn't take the sports injury program, did you?
I did not, no.
You did the basic. So it's interesting how it really taught us how to look at the body and how people present themselves. There's a lot of things that you can see very quickly if you're trained, right? And I guess my specialty has always been people come to me after they've been everywhere else and it's problem solving. And the basic component of what I do is a lot of listening. And I've determined that I listen between the lines. So it can be listening between the lines of what's said and unsaid, or between the lines of the fascia. It doesn't matter. It's that listening to what's happening. And I think it's something that I've learned to do very quickly, and I believe it's something that people can learn to do, right? Just like with what you're doing, you're talking about teaching people. So this has been something that's been on my heart for a long time to help people, because when we, to help people, and I'll leave it at that.
And then in terms of the course that we're looking at, the essential oils and their application to the body are the main therapeutic agent after after your whatever work you're doing. The oils are applied as a mechanism of how to work with the body. Do you want to explain maybe the process of how you go work with somebody in the oils and their application, and how you would decide for an oil or something?
So with the essential oils, to start with the space of looking at, some of them are more uplifting, some of them are going to be helping for the immune system, some of them will be helping with circulatory, and then the different oils will have different applications. So for example, I had someone today who had been hiking that fell and had hit her shin, and had a big bruise right below the knee, but the bruise hadn't manifested yet. So I used cypress oil and did very light effleurage, just very, very light. And the bruise came to the surface. But the hard knot that was in the tissue released. And my experience is that I could do the effleurage on that area, but the bruise doesn't necessarily rise nearly as quickly. The essential oils facilitate the body being able to release things quicker, is my experience, because I've worked with and without them, and having them as a companion is like having an extra set of hands in the office, but they're also like time in a bottle, because it seems to really speed processes up, is the best thing that I can describe. So we'd be looking at, and then obviously the other component, as I talked about, is the emotional support, and understanding that our amygdala is right behind our nose, and so helping someone, again, today the lady who had fallen was a brand new client, and I had put rose on my hands. I have a rose hydrosol that I've been playing with to see what it will do, and her cheeks were tight, and I asked her if she, on the intake, people don't always tell you everything. So I said, are you a clencher? I said, do you clench, do you clench your jaws at night? And she said, oh yeah. She said, I clench and grind. And I just held her cheeks. And then I asked her, I said, what do you need to say? And she started to cry. She just had tears coming out of her face, just, and I didn't pick it up right away. All of a sudden, like, my hands were wet. And she didn't know why couldn't identify why she had that emotional release. But having something that could help someone, when we started, she could only open her mouth like that. By the end, her mouth was open, her face was relaxed. And this was one session, so what I see as a facilitation in the emotion and physical partnership that the body has, the oils are very helpful in that area as well.
Very good. Thank you, Julie. So Shay, you're next in line. If you could unmute yourself and kind of tell us what your background is and what you do.
Yeah, perfect. So my name's Shay. I graduated with my bachelor's in exercise science, and currently I work at Stretch Lab doing one-on-one assisted stretching. For the past few years, I've done a ton of work with like sport performance training, working with kids from 8 to 18. I do personal training on the side, and I work a lot with their overall body mechanics and like proper alignment. And so with like the one-on-one assisted stretching that I do, I pay attention to like what things are holding different body movements back. and then kind of adjusting and creating a customized program for that individual based on different areas of whether it be their tension, injuries, past injuries, and all these different and new compensation patterns that have been created over time. And I guess trying to think what else to cover on that, but
Well, and what, I mean, in other words, who is your ideal person that you've gone from real bad injury to, very good health? Well, give an example of that.
yeah. So at the hospital, I worked with ACL and shoulder bridge rehab. A lot of those, it was not only just strength, but also range of motion as well with those athletes. And then I do have a lot of clientele that'll come in that with, well, let's see, dependent on, I guess they're trying to think of how to say this. My goodness. But oh my gosh, I really suck at this. I get really nervous. But
Was anybody in like a wheelchair severely debilitated when you started?
oh, thank you. Gosh, that totally helps my thought process. Okay, so I'm currently working with a client. I've been working with her for quite a few months now. She sees me twice a week for an hour. And when she first came in, everything was so tight on her, she couldn't even stand with her legs together. And over the course of, PNF stretching, modifying all the stretches, finding different techniques of kind of helping stuff release, her strengthening exercises that she's kind of doing on her own that have kind of helped facilitate and create a program for her. She now can sit with her legs crossed. She now can bend over at the waist. I mean, it was to the point where she wasn't able to walk. Everything was so painful and she was absolutely debilitated. She's like, I have not been able to move in over 2-3 years. And finally, the other day, we were able to actually get her to lay completely flat without having like this major thoracic arch, without having her knees bent because everything was so tight. And she said that is the flattest she'd laid in years. So I'd say that's one of like my more severe cases. A lot of the other clientele that I'll work with, it's a lot of low back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, and tension based on, years of compensation, whether it be, they're talking on the phone a lot or they're sitting at their keyboard and they're typing, just because everything, the body completely stores onto a lot of that. And so I just kind of help with releasing and helping get that proper body alignment back to help prevent future injuries and help to treat and get that range of motion back from if it's a past injury or something along those lines.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Shay.
Thanks. Thank you.
And then Tim, if you could also then finish us off and kind of introduce yourself and what you do.
All right. So yeah, I think I'm unmuted. So my first life was as an engineer. So I was an environmental engineer for a good number of years, a full career. And in the meanwhile, I was always reading things about healing and mystical things. And I ended up dropping out of corporate world before 55 and have dedicated time since then to healing work. My primary modality, I would say, or foundational, was healing touch. And I'm currently an instructor. I teach all levels of healing touch and one of the senior people there, and I've been part of their certification process. Several years ago, joined with a couple other healers and created another organization called Awakening Healing Access, where we teach more advanced work. So it's basically think of it as a hands-on. People talk about healing touch as, hands-on healing, but the reality is I probably do more than half of my work remotely, and especially since pandemic time, I probably almost worked exclusively remotely. But I do a lot of work hands-on. I've worked with staff in hospital settings and volunteered on the floors of hospitals quite a bit. And a lot of my teaching was in hospitals prior to pandemic. So I've written a couple books with my partner. I'm the primary author on these books, but so we've got 2 published. One's a children's book's published. There's another children's book that's to the illustrator now, and another adult book ready to be published. And I'm writing on the 4th one right now. So fair amount of writing in the works there. but it's all related to, I'd say, more advanced versions of healing. And so it's like healing touch to another layer. And so I think we've been talking, Jeff and I, about a basic level of a healing course. And so it needs some exploration as to really what that is. But so it's basically, I think of it as energy medicine. And so whether you call it hands-on, and so we'll need to get framework correct that way in languaging. And so in terms of what we want to call it, but I actually think of it as energy work primarily. It's working with the chakra and the fields surrounding the body, but it's really we're holistic, we're a hologram, and so it works on the emotional, physical, mental, spiritual layers. I have a lot of clients that come to me in a sense for spiritual work, but I have a lot of clients that come for pain. So it seems to work at all layers of our being, and it's pretty fascinating.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Tim. And I think it's safe to say is that what we've got here is a collection of four extremely talented people. And the skill set runs from, say, for Shay, an extremely physiological, hands-on approach that works with very specific muscle groups, and you could define it as a more medical-oriented kind of thing, going all the way through Julie and Michael, who are in their own ways kind of doing a little bit of physical and a little bit of energetic, and all the way then into Tim, where it's almost all energetic. And so the spectrum and the variety of this is exactly what I was shooting for when I was designing this program. I want a student to be able to go into all four classes and come out with a feeling of the possibilities of all that range. And maybe some student might just be completely into the assisted stretching, and they're just going to want to know everything that Shay knows, and they want to get into the stretching thing because they have that PA background, or they're into sports and athletics or something like this. Or there might be that person who's into emotional release, or that might go a different direction. So any one of you could take any student that comes into the class, and suddenly they're going to just spark their interest. And that's what I
And
want.
hopefully they come out seeing that they're all connected.
Well, yeah, and that there we are this sort of, like you said, a hologram body, and there's multiple layers to us that we want to be able to impart in these students, that the care of the physical body and the energy that goes within it is a sacred naturopathic process. And I think that this has been ignored, and this is something that has not really been in the naturopathic world, it hasn't really been addressed. I, as a naturopath, were only to touch somebody if I was going to do muscle testing. Other than that, I'm sitting across the desk from them, and especially once the pandemic hit, never touched anybody. And so this is kind of I really think that there's a need for that person who has that hands-on capacity, and we want to address that student. I had sent out to you a couple of emails for everybody, and there was a sort of a set of things that we wanted to address. I'll get to those in a little bit, but I wanted to just share, for those of you who have not yet seen it, the basic mechanisms, and I hope you can all see this. This is the kind of naturopathic degree we're designing here. And what we have is seven different courses that are going to be the naturopathic curriculum. And so you can see them there: diet, nutrition, energy systems, herbs, homeopathy, essential oils, biofeedback and lab testing evaluation, and holistic business practices. Now, those are the classes that qualify as naturopathic classes for our university. Now, in that case, once somebody graduates from this, and there's a couple of additional classes that lump onto the top of this, I'll show you that in a second. But then they go on to be a naturopath. But this core curriculum is something they need to walk into to us with. They need to have some version of basic understanding of body systems. They need to have some core modality set. They need to have something that says, I know something about the body, before they step into the naturopathic school. So core curriculum then is something that we're designing in. Now, the core curriculum can be, anything that somebody already has. So they may have an HHP, or a therapeutic nutritional counselor, certified nutritional practitioner, nursing, dentists, doctors, chiropractors, doesn't matter. This person already has their degree. They already have a level of skill of knowledge and information that they could walk in. We say, okay, just give us a basic understanding what you're about. Okay, you passed core curriculum. You can go right into the naturopathic course. Great, fine for you. But I think that there's a lot of people out there, and I think an increasing number since the pandemic too. And this is kind of one of the silver linings of people being abruptly thrown into your health matters, is that then these people realize, hey, you know what? I better start learning some stuff. And so, again, for our normal classes, we're going to have the diet, nutrition. Now, there's the herbalism, homeopathy, essential oils, biofeedback, and energy systems. As you look at any one of these five, though, they can take the advanced course. So let's just say it's somebody going through the basic course that just absolutely falls in love with homeopathy. They get to take the advanced homeopathic study. Then they go on to an internship and a thesis in homeopathy. So we're going to have a specialization course there. But again, this all needs to be preceded by a skill set. And so let's just say that person wants to specialize in essential oils. Boy, would this hands-on class be the perfect thing for them, because now they have multiple ways of understanding oils at different levels of application. The energetic systems of the body. So this is the meridians, the chakras, the nervous system as it runs through the spinal cord. This person might take the advanced course in this and have the hands-on practical application. They might have a leg up on the other students in this class because they have taken the hands-on. So this is the design that's behind this. So I just kind of want to give you the idea for those who didn't know it. Here's how we're constructing this thing. We're trying to get people to take these basic courses, choose an area of specialization, finish out all this, but they have to have their core curriculum first. So what I'm asking is for the 4 of these classes to represent a core curriculum set. That's kind of, I just want to make sure everybody knew that and we're on the same page there. Now, let's see here. Tim took, let's see if I've got the right one here, this one. So Tim did a little homework and did the course description. So here's his Fundamentals of Hands-on Healing course outline. He provides a paragraph with the description, very eloquent description of here's what this modality is about. This is kind of then starting to build, here's student, here is what you should expect to learn and expect to be dealing with during class. Some of the concepts, some of the practicalities, just, here's what you're going to be going through during the course of this class. And even here, ethical considerations. You are in the presence of somebody in a vulnerable position. How do you behave yourself? These things like this. So this is the kind of workup that we need to have on our website. When somebody's taking a course, they need to be able to read this and go, oh, here's what that class is like. And then upon the first day of class, here's our structure. Here's what we're going to be going through. So class number 1 online, here we go. They could literally take this in order and say, here's what I expect to see. Okay. The other thing that Tim did was put together, whoops, sorry, wrong one. Another share, please. And that was this one. And this is more of the, here's what you would see in a catalog or online to say, here's what you would expect as far as the details of the class. So total class hours. And again, here, 40 to 50 hours, I think is a reasonable amount to teach somebody what Tim was talking about, this basic class of understanding energy, how to work with it, how to look towards someone's body and understand where the tension is and things. This is all just kind of a very nice description of that. We have online hours, 30 to 40 of them. And this is, again, estimations. And this could obviously maybe get nailed down, once a class runs, you maybe have a better idea. But the on-site hours is also extremely important because all 4 of these classes would be such that you would have the online portion of the class to get the academic learning out of the way, but then there needs to be a certain number of hours of everybody in the class will be all together in one place, actually doing hands-on work. Now, Tim's estimate here is 12 to 16 hours. So that could be maybe 3 5-hour days, 2 8-hour days. That could be worked out. We could kind of understand what's the limit of somebody's capacity to attend a day. Is it 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours? What could somebody deal with? And so we would work out a plan that at some point, all the students of the class would meet together, and they would meet for 12 to 16 hours, and that would fulfill the online or on-site portion of their class. Again, course description there, anything that's required. Now, Zoom or other videos, I mean, some people like the Vimeo setting or whatever version for videos, YouTube or whatever, PowerPoint slide presentations. Yeah, that's what I do most of the time too. So that's very good if that works for you guys. And in here, I mean, this is kind of hands-on training will utilize massage tables. That's an important thing. What kind of equipment needs to be there at the on-site session for that student? Now, they need to figure out how to get it there, but we're going to be working on our end too to facilitate some of this. And then using pendulums. Now, some people would even understand what a pendulum is. Some people might not even get what a pendulum is. That, here's their opportunity to ask a question. And then again, travel will not be covered in the tuition of the class. And so the student has to understand that they are expected to go where the instructor's hosting the class. Now, you guys would host it with the help of the IHHA, but we're going to have, okay, where do you choose to have your class? That's up to you. And then again, the idea of how is this tested out, both from a written perspective and then in the hands-on class. Is there anything that this student would be required to do to pass the on-site hands-on portion of the class? So this is an excellent, just kind of, filling out of that basic course description. So if somebody clicks on this class on our website, they would read this description, have a very good idea what's going to happen. So this is what I would like all 4 classes to have as descriptions, just, this kind of thing. And it's not too hard once you sit down and do it. You just kind of have to make decisions based on your expertise, your knowledge, how you would design out what you would call that basic course. Now, as far as the number of hours, that's one of the major subjects is, how many hours would we expect somebody to study this, and how many hours are going to be required for us to then say that this course as a sum total of 4 is X many hours of study. And so that's one of the things that we need to have a good handle on. And it would be nice if they were all in the neighborhood of the same. I can't say I want all of them exactly the same number, but the 30 to 40 hours online, 12 to 16 hours on site, I think is a reasonable amount. I think it's that pretty much any course could be taught with that amount of time together or online. And so I think that's a good ballpark to be in. There can be some plus and minus from this, whatever you feel is the right thing to do.
Yeah, when I was putting this together on the on-site, we had briefly talked about maybe the idea of coupling a couple of them together.
Yep.
So for instance, maybe Michael's and my class were together the same weekend, and I don't know what it would take for his, but it's like half the weekend could be energy and the other half could be network chiropractic.
Exactly. And that's something that to understand who our audience is, we're going to try to expand our audience, but currently what we have is people who are going through classes to do biofeedback testing. And they're going to want to become naturopaths. Now, many of those people come from backgrounds like massage therapy, like Julie and myself. And they're going to want to be able to say, hey, I'm going to do this now, but let's do it in chunks. Yeah, I'm going to take a week. I'm going to go to Minneapolis, and we're going to go to this hotel ballroom, and it's going to have a bunch of massage tables in it, and it's going to be Monday through Friday. But between Monday and Friday, we might get 2 of the courses done. So one travel expense to get 2 of the 4 classes done. That we try to be more efficient for the students that way. Now, they also have meetings in the fall. We're going to maybe also have one in the spring in Nashville where we could tag on 1 or 2 of these classes either before the 3-day seminar or after the 3-day seminar. Say, hey, come and see the IHHA conference, and either before or after, get 1 of your classes done. So those are all plans that are currently existing. Yeah, Julie.
So Shay, where are you located?
So I'm in St. George, Utah.
Okay. All right.
Where are you, Julie? I'm Minneapolis, by the way.
Okay. I'm Northfield, Minnesota. Okay.
Yeah. And
I would see that probably Shay and I would work, when you, Tim, when you said you and Michael to do something, I could see that, what we're doing could work well together as a complement as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is not to say that you have to have it in your hometown. And if you want to get out of town to do some travel and have some fun, that's fine too. But and so what the IHHA is going to try to facilitate doing is with our staffing and our sort of expertise is to find the right venue and then guide people to the course. If they have questions, they go to us, not you. So we're there to be problem solvers and facilitators for you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's kind of how we want the courses to go, is to be, they complete their courses. Now we're running in semesters. Like a traditional college, we're going to have a couple of semesters a year and then a summer off. Probably that's being worked out. Given that each of these courses is going to be, say a 40-hour class, I mean, somebody could theoretically do it in 4 weeks in a row, but I really doubt many people are going to want to do that. And I think the way we are talking for some of our courses that we're doing, we're probably going to want to do a 3-hour class, but we're going to do it probably in 15 to 20-minute videos and then do it in segments and chunk it out. So somebody could watch a 15-minute video, take their notes, and do another 15-minute video the next night, and so on. So that some of the video or presentation time could be live, but it could also be pre-recorded and do it in smaller, easier to manage chunks of time. That's apparently the trend in education nowadays, is people don't have 3 hours to sit down for a class. And so that's something that I would say, if there's a way for you to break it up into segments of pre-recorded, or we can do a whole live 2 or 3 hour night, but then we're going to have to take that and break it down and break it down. Yes, Julie.
So my other observation is, Tim, you have quite a bit of training because you've been doing the healing touch. I have taught, but I haven't taught at the level that you have. So even the outline you've put together, if that's something that you could share, that we could, fill our own.
I can send them out to you. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
And
And then
feel free to share. Yeah.
and the other thing is, because if you've been educating more through the healing touch form, or healing touch, right? Format, there could be some suggestions you have for basic guidelines for us, because Michael and I are both practitioners, and Shay too. We're primarily practitioners who perhaps educate, so this is stepping into a new space, and to help us be better at putting it together. And even I think, so Jeff, to have a clear idea of, for each of us to see what the other is doing, and then we can see, well, where does this overlap? Could it be that it would be a good week that we would all come together and like you said, that we're all there, and because each thing is a complement to the other, and it builds on, and honestly, I mean, energy is all of it, right? So Tim, energy is the bottom,
Everything.
all of it. I don't know.
Julie, you're tapping into the thing that I have this fanciful pipe dream of having happen, is the entire group of the four of you gets together and finds out the synergy between the systems. That I really think all four of you would bounce ideas. You'd have great conversations, and you'd show each other cool stuff. And I could, you guys could probably I could just throw you in a room and come back 8 hours later, and you'd still be talking. I really have that feeling. So I think, I mean, I would love that to happen. And if that can't happen, let's do it. So you're right. And so I want you to each also have this intercommunicative pathway of, let's individually set up your classes, but then also sort of learn about each other's classes to the point of at least a good familiarity, and just really understand what the other instructors are doing. I think that would be an awesome thing.
Yeah, and I'm happy to help, Julie, and with all of that. And I think it's really important, what Jeff hasn't said yet, is that these 4 separate courses all have to look like they're under the same umbrella. And so we need to work together to have something coherent that looks like it all came from the same organization.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, if you have each other's emails and phone numbers and all this other kind of stuff, If you want to get in communication without me facilitating it, please do. And we'll do some more Zooms also as this goes along, just make sure everybody's up to date and that we have a more consistent thing. The goal of this, just to let everybody know, is that we'd like to have everything put together in an official sort of course catalog, all materials put together, all plans in place, so that in the fall, in September, the last week of September, I can offer this course to this group of students who are, again, going through the electrodermal screening training, and there's going to be a couple hundred of them there. Now, all of that couple hundred, there's not that many people who have advanced degrees. And so this is probably a lot of them are massage therapists or even just lay people who want to get into this. We have to structure these classes so that any one of them can jump in and say, hey, I want to start doing this. Let's roll. And so this is where between the development of this baseline outline and how do you either pre-record or how do you have the material set up to record the classes as those students come in, and this could be starting October. So I mean, it's October may seem a while away, but this could be pretty quick. It's going to come fast.
Where is the format that you want us to record?
Generally speaking, what I do with mine is I do them in Zoom. Then the Zoom, as it's recording, kind of backs it up on my computer as a Zoom recording, and then I upload it to YouTube. Now, what we're setting up is this format through this web hosting educational platform called Kajabi, and that's going to be then there's going to be the page, hands-on holistic healthcare practitioner course. You'll click on that tab, and it'll open up all the materials necessary. So each one of those pages, there's going to be sub pictures on there, maybe of each of you or any kind of image that you'd like to represent your thing. Click on that and it'll give these descriptions that you see on the screen here. Then that's when those course descriptions are going to come up. So that, and so then it'll go down to a registration page. Would you like to register for this class? Click, and then they go through the process. Now, for the sake of having enough students to have enough volume to make a class happen, like any university, we're going to have a minimum of 10 students per class just to make it a go, so that you guys can have it worthwhile, you spending your time with these students. Whether it's the recordings or whether it's the hands-on, we can't have you teaching 2 people. That's just not worth your time, and then the money simply wouldn't be enough. So we're going to have a 10-person minimum. So what we're going to end up probably doing is, with this course and the other HHP course that I'm developing, we probably won't run necessarily by semester. We'll run until we get 10 people or more. Now, hopefully we can then chunk that out. With each of our spring and fall events, we might get a big rush in of 20, 30 people. So one of the other considerations is how many people can you handle? If you were to have an on-site, here's you teaching a group of people, hands-on technique, what's the maximum number of people that you could have in a room? We do need to also have a maximum for these classes, but a minimum of 10. So that's important for you to understand, because you're going to be busy running around. And Michael, you know this from the gates. When those gates are going on, these instructors are having to sprint from that table to that table to that table because somebody's gotten weird reactions here or there. Julie, you've been there too, like during the AromaTouch trainings. There's a lot of need for somebody, hey, question over here, and somebody runs over there. And you got to have that all. So how many people could you have? Question.
I can do about 25 max, I think. I've done 50, but with multiple instructors.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, and it'd be up to you whether you wanted to bring in some other people, maybe some interns, maybe some volunteers, or if you want to pay somebody out of your salary, you certainly do that. But just to let you know is that, you're going to get paid a certain fee per student that takes the class.
Well, if you have it at a great location and, your guests, your assistants get to come on vacation, that isn't so bad either. So
yeah. So yeah, we could find some real, like, Palm Springs or something like that and do a nice vacation out of it too. But again, that's part of the deal. I did want to talk a little bit about the idea of that there are some branding and legal aspects to the classes that I want you to think about. Tim and I have already had a discussion about this. His training and his teaching is in this branded name of Healing Touch. But for this class, he can't use the brand Healing Touch. Shay works for a company called Stretch Lab, but she can't call this Stretch Lab Basic because you're interfering in somebody else's trademark. Now, Michael has developed his own trade name, Total Tension Release, TTR. And if he wants to use that, well, because it's all him and he's the one who originated it, he can use that. But he also have the consideration of, because he's a chiropractor, he can't be teaching people chiropractic. So he's got another little legal angle that he's got to make sure he puts in a wording of a disclaimer and liability statement to say we are not learning how to make, spinal adjustments in this class. So all of you would need to have those sort of safety, liability, waiver kind of statements to make sure that from a legal standpoint, that you're not going to put yourself or any student or any kind of legal jeopardy, anybody either direction, or the IHHA for that matter, for being the host of it. And there's one thing to note is that the IHHA is a private member association, PMA. Every student taking classes will be a member of that PMA. They have no choice but to be a member of a PMA, which means that as a member of a private member association, they are, as a member, complying with the rules of the organization, which is we have the right to free speech under the First Amendment of the Constitution. Under the 14th Amendment, we have the right of free association. And that in the context of any class, online or on site, that any subject matter covered, any statements made, and presumably in case of this, like, any kind of, application of technique is friends treating friends, meaning that you and I are having a conversation online, and anything that I say is just me, your friend, talking about health. This is not me, the instructor, who's telling you what to do or telling you what to think. Now, this is a little bit of a legal hoop to jump through, so that what ends up happening here is because this is a constitutional set of rights in the PMA, then there is no local, county, state, or federal organization that has jurisdiction over our conversation or meeting. So it does, take the yoke of liability off of us to a great degree, but I just want to go to the nth degree to make sure that everybody is straight up, everybody understands what everybody else is saying, that nobody says, oh, well, I never knew that. I want everything to be as legal and as well stated as possible as far as any kind of legal or liability statement for you on your own. And then in addition to that, that's also under the PMA. Now, I should also introduce you guys to the person who suddenly popped in. This is one of our board members, Tracy Abraham. She was able to pop in here and just kind of say hi. Tracy, say hi, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Sorry
Tracy.
I'm late. I had a prior engagement, but I wanted to make sure that I came on and said hello. And thank you so much for having me tonight.
All right. Thank you, Tracy.
No.
So, and we are recording it, so I'll send the recording out to everybody, but that's, kind of we have 4 board members. There's myself, there's Tracy, there's Starla Weichman, who is a expert in running clinics. She's on par with Jim Hauver as far as being able to run a clinic and have everything go like it's supposed to go, which always amazes me. And then we also have Dr. Abdel Al-Khalouf, who is a PhD in nursing and is a medical research expert. And so he's our science officer. And so those 4 of us are the people who are sort of fleshing this out and trying to get this all to work. And then there's, of course, myself. And so we just kind of want to, say this is a group of 4 working with a group of 4. And 4 is kind of a interesting number when you start working with the sacred geometry and stuff like that. So I just found it always kind of cool that way. So this is basically all I had on my agenda for the night. I just wanted to introduce everybody, get everybody kind of on the same page, just to see where we are with things. And then if we can get all of those course descriptions and the course catalog descriptions out and just have this all set, we can put together, because Tracy down there, she's already putting together this fantastic looking website. So she's going to make a page just for this set of 4 classes. And so she kind of needs to know about them and understand what they are too. So she needs this information here I'll be sending it to her once you guys get that all done too. And so, what I would say is at this point, are there any immediate questions? Does anybody have question for me, for Tracy, for each other?
I do. So this is like all super, super new to me. So when we were kind of going over it, like the audience that we are going and targeting is those that are wanting to practice the biofeedback testing, correct?
It is, but we want to expand beyond that.
Okay. And then, so then after they finish this course, are they going to be just considered like continuing education units? Like, is that like if someone randomly wanted to take it, like how does that?
Well, okay. Well, there's a couple of different answers to that question, and thank you for asking that. That does fill it out. Now, somebody could theoretically take this course, and they're already some medical professional. They just want CEUs. And they want to learn some basics, hands-on. They can get CEUs because we'll be accredited. Any course that's taken through the IHHA University is going to be a CEU applicable thing. Now, so that's that way. Now, what we're wanting you four to do is each one of the four of you also have your audience, your organizations, your memberships, and whatever kinds of things, networks of people. And most of you are going to be more closely associated with people who do body work. Now, many body workers are frustrated with their limited capacity to practice. Hey, here you go. Take this class, pass this thing. You can move into a naturopathic course and get done in 2 years, and suddenly you're a naturopathic doctor. You have a lot less limitations there. And so, yeah, we would invite all of you to say, let's find out who you've got as your set of people to market to, and we'll help you with that marketing. We'll develop maybe some social media pieces to send out. We might do like if you've got a mailing list, we could put together a letter to send out to everybody. We could do some videos. We could do some Zoom invitations. If you think that your audience would attend a Zoom, be happy to sit there and answer questions. This is the kind of thing that we want you guys to also realize, that the more people you bring in, the more money you make. Be a marketer, be a networker, please do.
Perfect. Thank you.
Jeff, I just sent you the information on the massage, the national convention for the AMTA in August in Phoenix. I believe there's still booths available.
Might be a little late, but we'll see. Yeah, there it is. Okay, yeah.
So
Okay.
I don't know, but
yeah, it's this
and if nothing
organization
else, I could because I am going to be there. So
yeah,
I have to be careful because
some materials for you.
Yeah, but I'd have to be careful how I hand them out. What I could do is walk around and pass them to the different vendors even.
Remind me where that was and what was the dates, please?
So this is in Phoenix, and it's August 24th through the 26th. It's the national convention for the AMTA, which is the body worker, the massage.
Okay.
So even if we could get you some sort of pamphlet kind of thing for that, that'd be cool to be able to hand that out. Yeah. I mean, so again, you guys brainstorm on that. There's people, there's organizations, that would be, again, the more people we can funnel in here, the busier you'll be and the busier we'll be, and everybody can, benefit, all hands wash each other kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
Hey, just a question for you. I missed it when you said where you're living, where you're at.
Me?
Or Shay?
Shay. Oh.
Sorry, I'm in St. George, Utah, so I'm actually fairly close to Phoenix.
St. George. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, I just to let you know the connection there. Shay works at a stretch lab in St. George, and I spent 3 months in St. George over the winter. So I actually went there to get my stretching from her, and we had some very excellent conversations while she was stretching me. So that's how I kind of got introduced to her and found out that she's quite the talented individual, and she's the head instructor trainer for that region. She's taking a lot of extra training, and I have to say, her stretches, when I said I have a problem with that stretch, she would go research and look up, well, what's a different stretch we could do the next time? And she was just incredible at being able to adapt to my needs, which is what told me is that she's not just a stretcher, she's just somebody who can really delve into and knows the science and all the workarounds, and would be an excellent instructor for anybody.
Great.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's
You're really
beautiful. Very
And
good.
I could probably use a stretcher too.
Perfect. Let's do it.
So I guess at this point, I'm gonna then just kind of let you guys go home, go away from this meeting, thinking about the things that we've discussed tonight. You guys can get me back the materials. Are you guys all comfortable with me sharing your emails with each other?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think I've got all your emails. What I'll just do is put together an email and just sort of paste them into a Word document and send it out to everybody so that there's this intercommunicative. And if you guys, as much communication as you want to have with each other, you don't have to necessarily involve me. That's cool. And if you want to bounce ideas off each other, bounce them off me. If you want to involve Tracy or any of the rest of us, please do, because we really think that this could be a shining star and it's really, this is an area that has not been explored before. This is totally unique and nobody's doing this. So if we're the first, we have the opportunity to really just sort of absolutely dominate this little segment of the market that has been left undone. So I think we could really do a unique thing here.
Great.
I have one question for everybody. So, like, if we're all in the same email, I put together a course description, but obviously I've never done this before. If I send it to you guys, will you guys help me with some feedback and stuff? Because I would love to make stuff sound a little bit better. But I put one
Okay.
together. It doesn't sound as good as this one. So,
Yep, absolutely.
okay, sweet. Thanks, guys.
We can,
Yeah.
And I just recognized Dr. Stern up there. I'm so sorry that I missed it at the beginning. You and I met a few weeks ago, so nice to see you again.
Oh,
you were at my clinic and Tracy was there doing some work for us.
okay. Nice to see you again.
Michael's sort of convalescing and getting better as we speak.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for attending tonight. I'm going to stop the recording now. And then as we, kind of get more information or any kind of seeming like this is reaching the need for another, we'll just do another meeting and get everybody up to date. If anybody has any questions, let's just do some round robin emails or whatever. Please feel free to just don't hesitate to ask a question, even if you don't think it's a legitimate question. Do it anyway, because somebody's going to need that answer. All right. Thank you, everybody. Stop recording.